watched your video on the up-and-coming recession this week. How do you think the recession plus Brexit will affect original bands plus touring? And that's from Billy Swanflip.
Okay, the recession. I made a video this week about the recession based on having been through 2 recessions. I'm not saying we're not in a recession. I'm not saying there's definitely a recession coming. I think there is one coming. There's a lot of talk about it. And the reason for that is because of uncertainty with things like in UK, in this country, Brexit, no one has a clue what's going on or what's about to happen. And in other countries, there's also some other uncertainty. There's some stuff in America with some trade agreements and a few other bits and bobs. Everyone's panicking over there a little bit as well. And so this bubble's been growing and growing and growing. We've taken the interest rates down. And where does it go from here? Well, possibly, not scaremongering, and I'm not a politician, so don't shout at me for talking politics, possibly a recession. I made a video on what to do just in case. If it happens, what to do in a recession, having been through it twice. It's quite scary. Now, what does that mean then, as opposed to making money, what does that mean then, the question is for originals bands and for touring, especially with Brexit, because Britain coming out of the EU, what does that mean for touring across in other countries and even selling stuff? Well, the answer to that right now is, at this moment in time, which is, what's the date, Morgan? Wednesday
it's Wednesday,
14th?
the 12th.
12th, I'm getting ahead of myself. The 12th of December. Right now, this is a really difficult one because nobody's got a clue what is going on. So once a month, every Thursday, first Thursday, I go for a meeting with a bunch of entrepreneurs, very successful guys, amazing people, very inspirational. I went on Thursday and we were chatting, we had our 2-hour breakfast, we had our meeting, we were talking about things, and then obviously Brexit got mentioned several times, and I just said, I know we've mentioned it a lot, but what are everyone's feelings with Brexit? Where do we think it's going to land? These are very successful people who have been through this a bunch of times, who know their stuff, and all of us were stumped. We were all like, the problem is nobody knows. Nobody knows what we're going to get. Nobody knows what we even should get anymore. Nobody knows whether we're going to get another referendum. Nobody knows whether we're going to get a hard Brexit or if that's forced upon us, or a soft Brexit, or some kind of other option, which there are a couple of other options, but we have to leave in order to try and get that, like the Norway style thing. I don't want to get too heavily into politics because I'm not an expert and I don't want you to start firing questions at me, but nobody knows. So right now, it's business as usual for originals bands. And what I would say is, before we start worrying about going and touring over in Europe, have you done everything you can to maximize what you have got in this country and what you are doing on social media? Because everyone does this thing where they start worrying. Article 13's coming along. Oh, we're not going to have YouTube anymore. Well, hang on, we've got it now. Now's the time to maximize it. Brexit's going to come along, that's going to break everything. Well, it hasn't happened yet, and even if it does, it's going to take a couple of years to sort the whole thing out. So what are we doing right now? Stop worrying about a year or 2 years' time and look at what's happening now, because I can tell you in 6 months' time, or even nine months ago, we were not expecting the algorithm change to hit us as hard as it did. It did, it changed the game. Right now, it's the same thing. Brexit could happen, there could be a recession, there could be something else, but what's really, really important is we look at what we can do right now, which is building and looking after an audience online, and how we can then build our brand and communicate with people so that should we want to go on tour, we have got almost like a feeler where we can say, look, if we are going to pay that extra money, because touring costs will go up if we come out of Brexit, touring costs will go up in Europe. So if it does go up, then how will that affect us? Will we be able to get bums on seats? Will we be able to get out there? What does that mean? Well, what it means is you absolutely need to make sure that you're getting people to come to your gig and buy your merch, etc., etc. So before we start worrying about that, what I would say is let's calm things down. We don't know what's about to happen, but we do know what's in front of us right now. And I think that is really, really important. So what I'm doing is I'm going all in. Until something stops me or something breaks, I'm talking to the guys about how we can make more content, how we can break that content down, how we can actually get more and more stuff out there, put money into advertising, all of that stuff in order to make sure that if it gets taken away, I'm ahead of the game, if that makes sense. So worry about now with one eye on what's coming. But I would say with the recession, just, you know, watch that video, batten down hatches, get ready, because we don't know whether it's going to be a week, a month, a year, or 18 months, or 5 years, but I can promise you it will come eventually.